you could change any choice you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of the Inspired Choices Show, business optimization expert, Christine McIver.
That is me. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Inspired Choices Show. You know, I've been doing this show now for 13 years, and I love it. I love it more today than I ever have. I get to talk about the things that I see where people are struggling. I get to talk about my experiences, what has worked for me, what I know works in the world, and I get to share it with all of you. So if there is a topic that you would love to hear about, you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, someone that's thinking about doing that, I would love to hear from you. You can email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll jump into tonight's show. So you don't have to be perfect to do what I do. You just have to be willing to have fun. So tonight's show is systems bringing order to chaos in business. And why can I talk about that? I have been in my own business now for 13 years. I was top executive in a number of other businesses. I come from a family where being self-employed is the norm. And I've been professionally educated in business. I'm a professional coach, was professionally trained in coaching, and I friggin' love business. I have worked over the years with many, many entrepreneurs in their own businesses, really from the ground up with many people where they were just thinking about starting a business to working with organizations that have been in business for years and are looking to take it to the next level. Business is in my bones. I played business when I was a little girl. I just love talking about business. I love talking about the opportunities of being in your own business. I love showing people how much fun and ease it can actually be. And I've talked to a lot of people over the years who say, "Oh, I hate business. I hate business." And I think tonight's topic is going to be something that really educates and inspires people to learn why maybe they didn't like business when they first started business, or maybe they don't like business, and maybe tonight's show will help to change that. So, well, all that being said, I would love to be your business support person. I'm a business optimization coach, so I really love to work with entrepreneurs to show them where they can optimize what they're doing, optimize what they're creating, and optimize their presence on the globe. You know, really show people what they're creating in the world, and to have fun doing that. So if that's something that would intrigue you and contribute to you and your business, you need to reach out to me. Email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca, or you can send me a message across all social media platforms. You'll find me there. Okay, let's get into tonight's show. Systems bringing order to chaos in business. Do you hesitate or turn a blind eye to business systems? Anybody? Or have you ever? Does it feel like too much work and no money making work to invite in creating systems in your business? I have absolutely been there. In order to have your business run smoothly, to add team members, and to have the company grow while you have peace of mind, it is critical to have systems in place. Running around, making up things on the fly is extracting unnecessary energy and is a greater money waster than you can even imagine. So tonight we're going to focus on business systems and the great cost financially and psychologically to you and your team when you lack having them in place. So let's just talk about, why do people not have systems in place? Well, one of the very obvious reasons is they don't know how to do it, right? They've never had business systems in place. They don't know what it takes. It's really one of those situations where they don't know what they don't know. And that's the first place where people start is they don't know. The next place that I see people go into is they start to understand that, people are using business systems. They start to hear people talk about it. They maybe get sold to on the internet. They get a lot of different information coming at them, and they don't understand it. And so oftentimes when we don't understand something, what do? We go into resistance. We start pushing back on it. And oftentimes that's because our mind doesn't understand it. It can't unpack it. It doesn't get what's happening. It doesn't see how it fits in. And as an entrepreneur who is, especially here in the times that we have, a lot of people feel like they need to be in competition. A lot of people are experiencing like they're working extra in their businesses more than they ever even imagined. And so the idea of adding something new to it that's going to cost them money and actually not make them money is something that they begin to reject. Like, how many of you have ever thought about adding something to your business and you just outrightly reject it? No, I've got enough on my plate. I am trying to, get in touch with customers. I'm trying to get people to, buy from me, order from me. And the idea of doing even more is a turnoff, right? I know I was in that place. I absolutely know. Somebody in the chat room says, well, I have done that. Yeah, and we all have. We all reject initially what we don't understand. And if your plate is full, it's understandable why you would reject it, right? No one sits you down and explains the benefits of it. And one of the biggest things that is true is when you add a new system into your business, you actually have to slow down. You actually have to pull yourself away from maybe connecting with people, maybe having conversations, maybe doing the regular day-to-day that you're used to. You have to slow down and you have to start to unpack a great many things to put a system in place. And it doesn't matter what system it is. So I am going to list out some of the systems that you might consider having in your business that I think a lot of companies should have in their business. Eventually you should, if you're going to be in business for any length of time, you should have these systems in place. But again, we got to look at the psychology of systems or the lack of having systems in your business. I think one of the biggest reasons that people shy away from it is because it's not going to make them money. And all they can see initially is that it's going to take time away from their business, right? How many of us out here are working as much as we possibly can? We feel like we don't have time for ourselves. We feel like we don't have time to do the extra fun things in our lives. We maybe have family members that are not happy with how much time we are spending away from them. And we're trying to juggle a lot of balls. We're trying to juggle a lot of tasks. And the idea of adding more tasks it's overwhelming. And systems are one of those things that until you actually have them in place and you can see them operating, you don't really understand the benefit that it can provide for you. And without having systems in place, you are missing out on major, major benefits. So if you're someone that has been resisting, and somebody that's been turning your head and you're just saying, no, I'm not doing that, not now, whatever. What I'm doing is just fine. But you have greater desires. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to really listen in to today's show. I'm going to challenge you to maybe take some notes. And I'm going to challenge you to reach out to me and talk with me about this, because you're going to be surprised at how much easier it is to put these systems in place, but then the benefits of having the systems are just fantastic. So really, there's a huge psychology piece to what we're talking about today. Now, let's talk about what it really looks like when you're running around, and honestly, like I said in the write-up, where you're running around in 6 directions and you're trying to do all of these things on the fly and you don't have your systems in place. What starts to happen is so let's say you have a whole bunch of different ideas of things, like you keep getting these ideas of things that you want to add to your business, things that you want to create in your business, and you're grabbing, right? You got Post-it notes all over the place. You got Post-it notes, you got little pieces of paper. You end up with a great deal of chaos in books, on pieces of paper. I've seen some people's desks and they're horrendous. And I've been there. I've been there where I've had stuff all over. I have 2 desks where I work, and I've had stuff where I couldn't see the desk. How many of you right now, truthfully, are operating where you can barely see the desk because you've got it covered in so many pieces of paper and books and Post-it notes, where you're trying to stay ahead of things and you don't stop and get things organized, right? I want you to equate this to, let's say, the kitchen. This is an easy one for us to understand. If you are creating dishes in the kitchen and you're creating dishes and you're writing down the recipes and you're creating more dishes, but you're never cleaning the dishes, you're never organizing your cupboards to know what ingredients you have. So you go to make something, you don't have the ingredients there because it's so disorganized. You end up buying the same thing and you keep missing the most important ingredients for the dishes that you desire to have, the things that are going to nurture you, the things that are going to support you. And so you end up with this chaos in your kitchen where there's dishes all over the place, there's half-baked things that don't taste great, and there's a cupboard, some areas that are completely bare and other ones that are just overwhelmed with the same thing. You keep buying the same thing. This is exactly what goes on in your business. You end up with absolute chaos. You don't know what you have. You don't know what's lacking, and you spend time searching and searching and searching. So I am a huge advocate of getting your emails in order. My team will know that. People I've worked with will know that. I am on their butts about it big time. And I have so many people that just say, oh yeah, I just let it go. I don't care about it. If people want to get a hold of me, they can just message me through, the social media platform, whatever. Well, first of all, I want to tell you, you're crazy. I really have a strong point of view about this. If you don't have a system in place with how you operate within your email, you don't have a system in how you operate within your business that's supporting you as much as it can be. When you're doing business in social media, in Messenger, how are you organizing that? How are you staying on top of that? You are missing opportunities. You are missing vital information when you don't have that coming into your inbox. And when your inbox has more, now I have a lot of different folders. I rarely ever get rid of an email. It's important from a legal perspective, from getting to know my customers' perspective, from supporting my team and my hosts and all of my clients. So I rarely ever get rid of an email, but I have folders where they go into that I can access those folders at any time. My main inbox, if you have more than 100, I would even say 50 emails in your main inbox, you do not know what is in your inbox and you're missing things. How about the junk email? How many emails do you have in the junk folder that just keep overwhelming you and overwhelming you? I have known people that have had hundreds of thousands of emails in their inbox, and they just keep kind of going down the first 50 a day, and they don't get to the rest of them, and they are spinning their wheels trying to find information. They're getting inaccurate information because they don't have all of it right there in front of them. That's business 101. Get your emails cleaned up. You're not going to be able to stay on top of and respond in a really excellent time period to people that are interested in working with you, to people that have questions for you. And if you're not responding, you're not nurturing that relationship. If you're not responding in a timely fashion, you're not nurturing that relationship. And if you're not nurturing that relationship with them, they're going to the next person that they believe will. There are people out here that will be doing similar things that you're doing, different energy than you are. I don't believe in competition, but there are people that are doing similar things. And if you're not supporting and responding in a respectful time period to your customers and to your clients, you're missing those opportunities with them. And that is extremely, extremely important. I mean, systems, The chaos of business can become really quickly overwhelming. And if you don't understand systems, it can really drown you. You understand emails. Everybody that's in business is going to understand emails today. You must. That's the very first place where I have my clients start, is right there to clean that up. And when you clean up your emails and you get organized in your emails, you start to understand systems and how they can support you to really move you to the next level. Now, I've got a lot more that I want to share with you. We are up to our first break of the show. If you're watching in Facebook, come on over, join us here at Inspired Choices Network. You just come on into the chat room. We can be asking questions and commenting, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about the systems that are working for you and the systems that aren't. So you're listening to Inspired Choices. I'm your host, Christine McIver, and we're on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Tonight, we're talking all about systems and bringing order to chaos in business. So one of the biggest things that I think that business owners miss out on is when they do not have proper systems in place. They miss out on opportunities of creating, and they also miss out on understanding the value of what they are creating. So one of the biggest things that I had to do, I think this was, probably 2 years ago, I started to do this, and it was a tough job. I'm going to tell you this, it was a tough job, but it was one of the best things I ever did. So I sat down and I actually created standard operating procedures. I actually started it years ago, and so I would keep updating and updating. So standard operating procedure is a list of all the tasks that goes along with anything that you do in your business. So if you are, for here on the network, when we have a show, we have people that are producing, right? We have producers. So all of the steps, and there's a lot of steps on what a producer does. So we list out all of the steps. What we are doing when we are creating the shows, that's another step. What we're doing when we're doing the marketing, that's another big SOP. So we went through every single solitary job that we have here on the network and created all the standard operating procedures. And it took a lot of time, because here's what happens with most entrepreneurs is it's all up in your head. And what's the chaos that gets created if you get sick? What's the chaos is if you have to leave your business and somebody else needs to take over. If it's all in your head, how in the world are they going to be able to succeed or you're going to be on the phone the whole time. What about taking vacation? We all know that we all need downtime. We need time to recharge, to connect back in with our creativity, to connect back in with who we are and what's important to us. If you have someone that is taking over and you don't have everything written out for them, you're going to overwhelm them, and they're probably going to drive you crazy the whole time that you are away. I can tell you that when you're able to walk away from your business and have confidence that everything is listed and you've trained your employees, because when you have these systems in place, especially the standard operating procedures, when you have those in place, it supports them. They're learning, the learning curve is actually cut very much in half when you have everything listed out. It's a guide for them to go through again and again and again, something that they can remind themselves of. And it's also something that if you've got a standard operating procedure listed and you've trained your employees and they repeatedly make errors, you can point back to that document, and if they're actually continue to make the errors, then maybe it's not a good match, right? So it actually shows you where the gaps are. The gap's not maybe in the training, because if you have this all listed out, the gap might actually be in their desire to even work with you or their skill set. So that's another positive reason why you want to have standard operating procedures, known as SOPs, written out. Those SOPs also, what they do for you when you take the time to write them out is they show you the tasks and what you're doing. Now, you don't just write the SOPs out and leave it at that. This is the second half of what I did, and this was the big one that I did about 2 years ago, is when you go through the tasks and you go through step by step, what you want to do is you want, to the best of your ability, evaluate how much time each of these tasks take. When you evaluate that and you do that honestly, and you start to see the amount of time that each of the tasks take, you may come to a conclusion that that task isn't worth it. We're going to remove that task from the business. Or you may say, you know what, I think what could we do to kind of improve the way that we're doing this? Have a brainstorm with your team, and perhaps you can cut down the time on that. When you also look at the evaluation of the time with all of these SOPs, you then can start to evaluate who can do that job. Is that a job for one of your entry-level individuals? Is that a job for, a medium individual in your team? Is that a job for the CEO? When you do that, then you can allocate the cost that's associated with that individual role with that individual task. Then you start to see the value. That's where the real value starts to come out, and where you can now justify. And especially if you believe that you overcharge, or, you're charging enough, whatever, that's where you can really logically, with facts, look at this and go, you know what? That task is actually worth X number of dollars. And so by having that system in place where you're evaluating what you're doing, what you're actually how that contributes to you in your business, is you start to see how the operations of your business impact the bottom line. So this was a big eye opener for me, because there was definitely things that we were doing that I was undervaluing. And you know why I was undervaluing it? Because a lot of the times I was doing the task and I could perhaps maybe do it a little bit faster than a new person could do it, or I was working longer hours and I was doing more than I should be doing. How many of the CEOs, the business owners out there, are actually doing that? So that is something that's such an important thing for you to pay attention to, and really sit down and look at the tasks, how much time you're spending on something. Here's another thing that's great. Once you've got that written down and you see the amount of time that you're spending on these tasks, then you can truly evaluate how much time. What's the gap between the capacity of how many hours I'm willing to work and what I've already filled up my plate with, so that you don't go into adding something big to your business without perhaps adding some more work hours. And by more work hours, adding a team member. So when you have when you have processes and systems in place to support your business, that's where you can start taking the tasks off your plate and you can bring in team members. But until you can do that, you're responsible for every single solitary thing. And when you don't have support in your business, you can't expand your business because you only have the same amount of hours every single day, right, to work. You can't expand your business, but that's the number one way you can expand, by adding some more people to your team. You can't expand your business. You also can't take any time away from your business. And that's when you can become extremely exhausted and sometimes get resentful about your job and your business. And a lot of people get into that space and then their business doesn't succeed because they don't know how to have these systems in place. So that's one of the biggest ones right away. So we've talked about emails. We've talked about standard operating procedures. Let's talk about some other systems. You can spend a lot of time emailing people one-on-one, and there are times when I will email people one-on-one, but there are times when you want to communicate to your clientele, to your prospective clientele, and that's when you want to have a newsletter system in place. There's a lot of great newsletter systems out there. I've used a number of different ones. Primarily right now, I use MailChimp, and it works for what I'm asking it to do. That is a system where you can be creating not only a one-off email, but you can also create a great, what you've probably heard the word funnel, where you can have a number of emails created and in a system that works with communicating with clients, works with communicating with prospective clients. And what it does is that helps to nurture your relationship with your clients and your prospective clients. That's one of the most important things that you as a business owner need to be doing, is nurturing that relationship so that that customer really sees that they are valuable to you. So that's another really, really great system, is to have a newsletter and really start to understand how that nurturing system can work in your favor to save you time, because you're creating these emails once and then you're using them for several different people. So you don't have to go back and recreate every single time. It's in place for those people when they choose to connect with you. The next system I want to talk about is a CRM program. That's the Customer Relations Management Program. Now, I want you to imagine you've got your email cleaned up and you're really starting to focus on creating. You've got your standard operating procedures in place. You've got some team members on there assisting with these tasks. You've got your value. You're understanding your value even more. And now what you want to do is you want to start talking to more people. You really want to start nurturing more relationships and having the prospects come and really start to nurture those relationships. Well, one of the biggest things that you want to be able to do is you want to be able to connect with them on a personal level. Now, if you're only connecting with one person a month, one new person a month, it's probably going to be quite simple for you to remember things about that individual. But when you get to the space where you're connecting with 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 new people a week, and you're having so many different conversations, the odds of you remembering some very specific things about that individual starts to decline significantly. And a customer relations management program, what it does is it supports you in that. So this is a system where you put the person's name in, their contact information in, and you start to make notes on your conversations that you've had with them. And this is where they might say, like when I'm speaking with someone that's interested possibly in having a show here on the network, I'll put notes in about their experiences, what they find challenges with, what they're looking for. And then if they come back and they say, Christine, I'm going to think about it, I will then say, can I follow up with you in a couple of weeks? And they'll be, usually say, yeah, that sounds good. And so what I do is you go into the system and you can actually give yourself a reminder to reach out to them. And the really cool thing is every day you receive an email from your customer relations management system that says, hey, Christine, this is what you've got on your books and your calendar today, and these are the tasks of what you said you wanted to do on this day. So you don't forget. They don't fall through the cracks. There's so many missed opportunities when we don't have a CRM program in place. The other thing is you get to really see, you get to evaluate, look at all of the operations that we have been doing, all of the nurturing that we have been doing. And when you want to, maybe there's some specials, some big changes that's happening within your organization, you can actually tag different, you can have different tags of, a loyal customer, a new customer, or a longtime customer, or a prospect customer. You can tag them differently, and then you can actually just sort it by those different tags, and then you can communicate with that grouping of people based on what you've set that up in the CRM program. And it's a very cool program because you get to have those conversations, and it's really important that when you reach back out to the person that you refer back to the conversation that you had. Now, they may know very well that you have a CRM program, Christine, and you've kept those notes. That's okay. The fact of the matter is that you cared enough to have the program, to keep the notes, and to refamiliarize yourself with them before you've contacted them. So it's actually a compliment to them. So that's another really super, super important system to have in place, is a CRM program. So we're up to our next break of the show. When we get back, I want to get into a couple of more programs, and then we're going to talk about how they can all work together to really support you in growing your business and reducing your stress and increasing your pleasure. Because remember, business should be pleasurable. So stick around, everyone. I am your host, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Show on the Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, I hope you have downloaded the Inspired Choices Network phone app, our smartphone app. You can get it in your smartphone app store, and you can listen to thousands of shows. You can even watch the TV episodes right from your phone. It's a great app. It's so convenient and easy, and it's free. So why not? You can take it on the go wherever you're at and wherever you would like some inspiration, some guidance, and some support. We have amazing hosts here on the network who talk about a lot of different topics, but it's always about supporting those that are listening and bringing them more and more information to help them in their life and in their businesses. So let's get back into the show. So when we've been talking about the different systems and how important the systems are in supporting your business, we talked about how important it is to get that email organized, to really be able to stay on top of that. Don't miss out on those opportunities that are waiting for you. We all have big desires, but when we get bogged down and we don't have our systems in place, we miss those opportunities. We also talked about having a mailing system, like a database where you can email a group of people. There's MailChimp, there's Constant Contact, there's Kajabi, there's all sorts of systems out there. You absolutely need to have one and stay on top of it. Keep that clean and organized so it's easy for you to be able to reach out and let them know what's going on in your business. And then next, we talked about a customer relations management program, a CRM. It's not as complicated as you might think. It's actually quite easy to set it up, especially when you've got all those emails already in your newsletter grouping. You can just import that right into your system, and then you can start to add information to it as you go along. So those are some of the top systems that we have. You want to be able to have a system, a funnel system, where you are communicating with people, or you've got those systems set up in place so that you can absolutely reach out to them and make offerings, and not to inundate them, but to really reach out and let them know what's happening with you and with your business. So that's such an important piece that a lot of organizations don't have those systems in place. The other big piece that you want to have in place is the day-to-day operations. We were talking about the standard operating procedures. One of the biggest things that you as an entrepreneur need to do and need to understand is that when you slow down to put these systems in place and you become more organized, your self-esteem starts to rise because you're more organized. Now you can see what's going on. You can see where there's gaps in your organization. You can see where there's a need to have more support in your business, perhaps maybe where you could hire a VA to assist you with some different things. Because a lot of what we're doing today is we're doing a lot of online work. We're doing a lot of online marketing. Well, one of the biggest challenges with online marketing is it's changing, right? It changes oftentimes. What's new, what's coming up, how you need to communicate on those systems, they change. So when you have a system in place where you have an individual, you have a VA, you have a team member, and you have them on your team and you want them to execute what you don't have the time to execute, and you have that system in place, you're not only supporting them, you're supporting yourself, you're supporting your business, and you're also supporting the clientele out there that's looking for you. So having those systems in place is actually a way where you can spread the word of what you are doing more and more. Now, when you bring team members onto your team, you want to make sure that they're team members that have ideas as well, so that they can support you in, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Have you ever thought about doing that? Where those team members can then start to contribute to the organization of the business. And that is such a gift to you then in keeping things organized. When you have the organization, when you have your systems in place, then you can absolutely spend time more in the research and development area of your business instead of constantly trying to catch up. How many of you are out there running around trying to catch up? You have a list of to-dos out there, and because this monster list is so big, and you're constantly like trying to get that list down, when somebody does reach out to you, when you do have a new contact, right, you don't actually have the time to get back to that list, or you can't manage taking a new client on. For years, I have said, as I was slowly starting to get different systems in place, and I knew that there was a gap in the efficiencies of what my organization was doing. When I knew that, I thought, you know what, my business cannot handle or sustain more clientele to come in because we're not organized enough. We were not able to respond with speed. We were not able to deliver what we knew we could deliver because we didn't have our systems in place. If you have big desires, if you want to grow your business and you lack systems, you lack these different systems that are going to support you to make things run more smoothly, where you actually have maybe an organization that takes care of the technology of your website, that stays on top of, the spam and anything like that. When you don't have those systems in place, you are constantly in fight or flight. You're constantly just in reaction, reaction, reaction. You don't have the time to respond because you don't have the space. You are trying to catch up over and over and over again, and that actually makes you inefficient. It raises the possibility of errors, and it has people pick up on the energy that you are running in 6 directions. You can't handle anymore. And when you can't handle anymore, what you actually start putting out there, the energy you start putting out is, my door's not open. My door's actually shut because I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And we all know that when we're in that space of overwhelm, that starts to impact our bodies. It starts to impact our physical health. It starts to impact our psychological health. And it starts to impact our financial health as well. Because when you're in that space of overwhelm, and you can't take more clients on, you're not going to be able to financially sustain what you might need to sustain. So taking the time to slow down so you can speed up is one of the biggest gifts you will give yourself. And it doesn't have to be super complicated, but it does have to be systematic. And there needs to be a process to this. Understanding how to really strategically plan and having a system in place to strategically plan for your next 6 months, your next year, has you be in a space of, I know what direction I'm going in. And when you get there, when you get to the end of that 6 months or the end of that year, you can do a really great evaluation of your organization, of your business. You can do a great evaluation of your time. You can do a great evaluation of your team members' time. You can do a great evaluation of the offers that you put out there, the responses that you got back, because again, you have a system in place. One of the best things you can ever do for yourself is get these systems in place and then really create a strategic plan. Create a strategic plan for what you're going to do, what you desire to do, where you desire to be. And then when you have that strategic plan in place, you're working it. So every day you know what you're doing, you know the direction you're going in, and you will have so much more ease. Your anxiety is going to lower, your blood pressure is going to lower, and your joy and your pleasure in your business is going to rise. Because when we have a system in place, the great thing is that you know how to run these systems, and then you get to be creative around the systems. I absolutely love creating with business owners. I love creating with our hosts here on the network. And when I know that I have the systems in place and that each of the tasks are being done at a certain time with one of the team members or with myself, I get to have space with them, and I get to be really present with them, because in the back of my mind, I'm not worrying about, I need to get this done, I need to get this done, I need to get this done. Recently I had a team member went away on a vacation for 10 days, and just the way things worked, it needed to come onto my plate. But because all of her tasks, because we had these systems in place, we had the system in place when each and every task needed to be done, what day of the week it needed to be done. It was very easy for me to squeeze that into my days. I did not feel overwhelmed. I did not feel like, I was doing 2 jobs, and I joked about, don't go away on me again. But truthfully, it was quite simple, and it was very easy to understand it. So it gave her the time to go away and enjoy her vacation and come back to not being overwhelmed. Gone are the days, or should be gone are the days, when somebody comes off vacation and they feel worse because of the big load of work that's on their plate after they come back off of vacation. And I didn't want that to be the case at all. When she came back, I had pretty much had everything up to date and current, so she could just slide back in and just go with a nice pace. So what that does, because I have that system in place, it strengthens my relationship with my team member, right? And that is joyful for me, that's joyful for her, and then we can carry on, and the business can continue to move on with ease. Honestly, none of the customers even knew practically that she was gone, because it had been gone. We have these systems in place, and we were able to work the systems quite seamlessly. I hope this is all starting to make sense for you. You may not even realize some of the places where a system would be advantageous for you, but there's so many more things that you can be adding to your business. Not that you have to be, but some of the basics that I've been speaking to are very, very important. We're up for our last break of the show. Come back. I want to wrap up and talk about what's coming up next week. So you're listening to Inspired Choices. I'm your host, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be back just after these messages.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. So next week, coming up, we have a show called How to Create an Impactful Business. And I'm going to be talking about some of the actions that you can be taking to really create that impactful business for you now and for the future. Because your future, we're not just creating our businesses for the here and now, we're creating for the future. And the future might be when you retire and you're passing that business on to someone else, or when you're actually selling your business. So let's talk about that next week. But before we end off today, I want to really just wrap up some of the things that we've been talking about. There are a number of different things, different advantages when you have these systems in place. You can actually make some of the key business decisions. You can be doing cost-cutting decisions can be put in place when you look at all of the tasks that you have in place. When you might be, a lot of companies are, they might have different people doing different tasks. And when they haven't written out all of the standard operating procedures, when they don't have their systems in place for everything, you might find that people, more than one person, is doing the same or a similar job. So that's right away when you start to do the evaluation, you can see how to cut some costs and make those decisions where they make sense. You as well can be using different programs out there in a very archaic way. I see a lot of people using Gmail in very archaic ways that they are spending a lot of time in their emails, and it's getting very, very messy and overwhelming. And then they start to avoid it, and then they get drowning in their emails, and they miss so many different opportunities. When you have a great system, you can really start to eliminate and bring on different systems that are going to support you in a financial way. And remember, your time, whatever you are paid per hour, you need to take that into consideration when you are doing things several different ways. You need to be cutting costs, i.e. cutting out what you're doing, your personal labor, so that you can be saving some time. When you also have these different systems in place and you understand exactly what needs to be done in the organization, and you've written out all those SOPs step by step by step, you can then delegate. You can be delegating different tasks. You can also be delegating decisions to your team members in the organization. When you are, as I said earlier, when you have these great systems in place and you've trained your employees, your team members, and you have these operating procedures down to a fine science, you can ensure that the team members are going to be happier. They're going to be more committed to being part of your organization, and you are going to have a longer longevity with those team members. So that is something that we don't think a lot about, but it is such an important thing when people don't understand how to do their jobs, where their jobs are overwhelming. It's not fun. It's not a fun place to work. And then they feel like, they're working hard and they're going in 6 directions. Again, they're probably in reaction as well, trying to stay ahead of what you want done, trying to figure out what you want done, not having a system like, am I doing this right? Am I not doing this right? And then not getting the acknowledgement, the recognition, and the reward for working hard. You actually put your time and money is at jeopardy when you don't have these systems in place and you bring people on. So this is why it's so important that you're making these decisions and you're putting these things in place for efficiencies, but not only financial efficiencies, but also time efficiencies. Every time, I don't know if you know this, but every time you bring on a new team member, a new employee in your company, it takes 6 months before they are fully trained. And so when I was in human resources, we had to consider the cost of bringing a new person on was actually a full 6 months. That was how much the cost was going to be. We were not going to start to get a return on our investment with that new employee until they had been within the organization for 6 months. The same can be true of you and any team members you bring on. If there's a new system in place, if you don't understand it thoroughly, if you don't have those step-by-step actions laid down and you've really figured out exactly how that's going to work for you, it's going to be months and months of you paying for that system. If you're purchasing an external system, it's going to be months and months of you paying for that system and you're not getting the full breadth and depth out of it. So it's so important that when you bring a system on, that you're committed to really understanding how it can work to your advantage. I know so many people that have purchased so many different systems and then they've gone into overwhelm. They haven't taken the time to learn it, or they haven't taken the time to hire someone. If you're ready to invest in changing things in your business, then invest some extra time, invest some extra money, bring somebody on that can teach you how to operate and get that system up to speed, or take the time to learn it yourself and understand that it's going to work to your advantage. It's so important for you to understand you've got to slow down to speed up. You're not going to be able to see where the gaps are. You're not going to see where you're doubling up on your tasks. You're going to be able to really take advantage of new opportunities. And when you are in overwhelm in your head and you're reacting, you are going to miss out on the opportunity of getting creative yourself. There's a lot of different things that you and your business may be asking for, but you don't have the time or the space to do it. Why not slow down, get these systems in place, get organized, understand how the systems work. You don't have to be the one that always does them, but you should understand how they work as the owner of the company so that when someone leaves or when there's a problem, you can at least articulate where the issues are, and then you can be looking for support. So I know that was a lot of information, but it's very, very important information. Again, I'd like to invite you to connect with me. I'd love to be able to make things easier for you in your business. I'd love to be able to make things easier for you and your team in your business. When we get these systems in place and when we see where the gap is, why people aren't possibly connecting with your organization, why people aren't reaching out. Maybe you don't have a booking system in place. Maybe you don't know how to run your booking system. A lot of people have no idea how to run their booking system. Maybe you don't understand how to use a booking system so that your time can be actually managed and your family's time, and you can still bring those new customers on and make it easy for them to book with you. That's another important system. Let's connect. Email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. Let's look at what we can do to make you having more pleasure in your business a priority. And systems is one of the ways to go. So my friends, until next week, I can't wait to see you then again. But I want you to remember that you can always make another choice. Until then, bye for now.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.